I am the air. I am human and I need to be loved. Just like everybody else does. I am the sun. I am the air. And I am human and I need to be loved. Just like everybody else does. I have made a grave mistake. Pray the Lord my soul to take. Ghosts of what I used to be. I can feel him calling me. Oh, ooh, oh, ooh, oh, ooh, oh, ooh. Okay. Welcome to another episode of the Bloody Horrible Apocalypse. And since you have unwisely chosen the apocalypse, you are in urgent need of a guide. Unfortunately for me, I am that guide. Your humble guide, Nicholas. So wonderful to see you again during this 1,200 some days of abominations and lies. And today was yet another day of abominations and lies. Unfortunately for all of us. And my God, was it a horrendous train wreck to watch. And this is what happens, Rubes, when you view politics through the WWF lens of fakery and bullshit, and you allow a madman and his obese South African co-chancellor to take over your government via your votes. You gave them the keys because you're that malleable. And then they proceed, because they're literal Nazis who worship Satan, literally. They want to take over the world. Donnie wants to be Caesar. Leon wants to be Pepe Caesar. You know, this is what they believe in, son. They're psychopaths. They're sociopaths. So what do? Well, since they're Nazis and in the image of Hitler, that's what all this is based on, by the way. So every move, every single move. Student of history would know this. Unfortunately, most of us are not students of history. That's why you lost your country. That's why you lost your future and your children's future and the entire world's future. All gone via one little button you pressed in the voting booth as you were viewing politics and the world through the WWF lens. And the result of that is two Nazis in charge that want to, I don't know, have a Fourth Reich or some shit as they worship Satan and ask you to worship them. Hire only abject sycophants, where one of the questions you face is, when did you have your MAGA revelation? Well, guess what, folks? You're all having your MAGA revelation right motherfucking now. And the next several years of your life will be that. Every single fucking horrid day of it. So when you hire abject, unqualified, sociopathic sycophants with the maturity of 3-year-olds, this is what you get. Reporters invited into chats. One of the people in Moscow waiting to have a meeting with Vlad when he was invited into the chat. That's what you get when you let WWF, and hey, the wife of WWF has a position in government. A very high and important one, actually. Are you fucking proud of yourselves? WWF is now in government. Thanks to you fucking rubes. And this is what you get when you only have abject sycophants that are utterly fucking unqualified to be there. So let's get into the shit show and how it all played out. It opens with a hearing that I guess was scheduled before the clusterfuck that took place yesterday of the intelligence community. Funny how the hearing was scheduled for today. Very karmic fucking timing, I would say. Especially when there's a bunch of Russian fucking assets literally sitting on the panel, by the way. That's also what you did. You gave your country to Vlad and a bunch of his fucking bitches. Tulsi Gabbard, straight up Russian asset. Always has been. She joined some crazy cult years ago, too. And then she joined the MAGA cult. After pretending to be like kind of a Democrat for a while. Obviously, Tulsi goes where the wind blows. Wherever her cult leader says from the last cult, and then wherever her cult leader from the new cult says. That's how malleable, and plus she's a Russian asset on top of it. That's another entity that owns her. So she belongs to two cults and Vlad Putin. That's what you got. That's what you voted for. That's what you get, again, when you have two sociopathic madmen who think they're the next incarnation of Hitler, which they actually are. Funny enough. And they hire people like Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard refuses to answer Warner's questions about the Signal group chat. Tulsi said she couldn't answer a lot of questions today. She wouldn't even answer if she was in the chat. You know what that tells me? That she was in the chat. So that's how it started off, with Tulsi not even answering, hey, did you participate in the chat? Couldn't even answer that, honestly. That's the level of deceit and fucking treachery we're dealing with. Here's Fred Wellman, who did a lot of great work today. While you slept last night, thousands of intelligence officials around the world were scrambling to assess the scope and damage of the fact that political appointees are conducting top-secret business on their personal phones, including the bumbling idiot Steve Witkoff, who joined the Houthi PC group chat while literally in Moscow. Yeah, I don't think he did that because he's a bumbling idiot. I think there may have been a purpose for him being in Moscow at that moment, just when that chat was happening to take place. Convenient. Waiting to meet Vlad, actually, but we'll get into all that. He was literally sitting there waiting to meet Vlad when this chat began, when he was first invited into it. So I don't know if it's about bumbling idiocy on Steve's part. On Petey's part, definitely. Anyway. While literally in Moscow, this security breach is as large as Snowden, but worse, because they will be told to ignore it by the ones who did it. Brilliantly said. And we'll get more into that. Fred's going to prove his case later on. Because I told you, if one of the Jagoffs wasn't in Russia when this call took place, when this chat took place, I would tell you that now it's been verified that the person was not in Russia. Well, now it's been verified they were in Russia, literally waiting for Vlad Putin. That's why your children's future is gone. That's why Vlad owns you now, not just Donnie Shitbags. Owns you now. Unless Donnie turns on him one day, and that won't be a good thing for you either. Gabbard claims there was no classified materials that was shared in the Signal chat. And I watched all these little videos. And yes, there was no classified material in the chats. Yes, there was. That's a flat out lie. If Gabbard says it, I go with the opposite. Plus, there's already evidence that there was classified material in the chat. The reporter has copies, remember? Liars. There goes every other narrative. The reporter has copies. Done. Discussion over. So she lied about that. She lied about her being on the chat. She wouldn't answer that question. That's a lie, in my opinion. This she flat out lied about. And we've got the evidence, don't worry. This meme's perfect. If Tulsi and Vlad had a child, that's what you'd get. And that's what you got as the head of intelligence for this country. When all these names were picked, remember, I was yelling all over camera, so were a lot of other people. Not only is every one of these people not qualified, a lot of them are just straight up Russian assets as well. Traitors to their country. Literally, the worst traitors. They make Benedict Arnold look like a fucking amateur. That's what you're talking up online. That's what you're defending. The turning over of your nation to one of the most evil entities ever born, Vlad Putin, who never had a motherfucking soul. Look at young pictures of that boy. There ain't no soul there, son. That's who owns this bitch. Miss Gabbard. And you know, you guys are in such a horrid death cult that you people chose and helped install someone that's in 2 fucking cults, for fuck's sake. Oh my God. Look in the mirror, son. If you're part of this, if you endorse it, if you've ever endorsed it, and reevaluate your entire existence. You're so lost. And I don't want to debate you on it. I don't want to have a contest on you calling me lost and me calling you lost. Because at the lake, we're going to see who's lost. And I'm already there. It's another thing you people don't know, I guess. I'm already there. You still here debating, talking politics as if this ever was politics. It's always been right and wrong. And you could have chose the closest thing to right that was available. Instead, you chose the Antichrist. Over and over again. Until you got the maximum expression of it. Donnie Shitbags and Leon Scum. And all their minions like Hegseth and Gabbard. Oh, here's Hegseth when he landed in Hawaii. You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist. So what happened when Hegseth was first confronted with this in Hawaii? He said there was no war plans being texted. And he insulted the journalist over and over again. He was very pissed off. He was very animated. He was moving his head like this, doing the peacock, probably drunk. But the reason I'm telling you this, because you already know this, is there was a community note put at the bottom of this post where Hegseth is denying the whole thing in Hawaii when he landed. And the community note says, the White House has confirmed the authenticity of the Atlantic's reporting. What happened to the community note? Well, Leon took it down. And now the post looks like this again without the community note at the bottom. This is what Leon does, Mr. Free Speech Absolutist, whenever he feels like it. Maybe a community note comes down because he gets pissed off. Maybe he bans Rick Wilson because Rick puts out a plan on how to put economic pressure on a company. And then the next day he'll say he's a free speech absolutist. No, he's a Nazi. And he bans whoever he wants, whenever he wants, for whatever reason he wants. I know much better than the old Twitter, right? You're seeing how much better Leon is. As he's firing everybody left and right, killing our economy. Killing his own company in the process. Leon doesn't care as long as he's serving Satan and trying to live up to this fantasy of personifying the Third Reich or Fourth Reich, the new Roman Empire. Remember, Pepe was in the Caesar uniform, not in the Nazi uniform. But what was Nazism based on? Well, that was based on Rome. Again, if you look at the formations and the standards and the way Hitler set the whole visual up. That was Rome. So Hitler was trying to do the same thing these people are doing. Get a right going in the image of Rome. That's based on eugenics and hatred for others. Same exact thing. But there's more guardrails today. They have to walk finer lines, even though he's flat out doing Nazi salutes right in your face. And I'll never forget that. We can all go on again and pretend that didn't happen day after day and treat him like he's a normal human being and he isn't a fucking threat to humanity. Oh, I'm not going to play that game with you. And again, if you're still defending the Nazi salute guy and the convicted felon, you need to look in the mirror and reevaluate your entire existence, your entire belief system, where you got your beliefs from, whatever, what's the word I'm looking for? Hypnotist that turned you into what you are. You need to figure that out. You need to figure out why you believe this stuff. Do you really believe it? Are you just parroting it? Is it just cool? Is it trendy? Are you really thinking things through? Obviously, a lot of you weren't. Look where we're at. We're in the apocalypse. And don't worry, you'll believe it soon. I don't know how you don't believe it by now. You don't know what I know, I guess. That's probably why. So Leon took this community note, just gone. I guess Leon got pissed about it. X has purged community notes from this Pentagon account that posts about transparency and accountability. The first picture is at 12:06 a.m. The second picture is at 9:44 a.m. and I showed you the pictures. And again, the first picture at 12:06 has the community note. The second picture at 9:44 does not have the community note. Blatant, utter, hypocritical censorship from the free speech absolutist Nazi salute guy. It's worth just seeing the actual list of people in the chat. Let's go through the names very quickly because we're going to need to know these names in the future. Remember all these names. These are these names are the downfall of your nation, the downfall of your future, your children's future, and the world. That's what these names represent. Congratulations for choosing them. Vice President J.D. Vance, or the couch fucker. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Remember that name because he's out there lying left and right. Oh my God, this guy's a mess. And Petey and Mike cannot keep their fucking mouths shut. They keep making it worse and worse, boy. It's so reminiscent of the first administration. Anyway, but you know what? 1,000 times worse. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, Senior Advisor to the President Stephen Miller, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, White House Chief of Staff. I mean, these are the highest of the high here who are talking abject shit that no one should be hearing. In fact, they're using an app intentionally so there's no government archiving of the conversation, because Donnie got in all kind of trouble because of government archiving of conversations. You know, so inspector generals and stuff like that can look and make sure everything's all legal. If some scandal busts out, we can go back and look at the transcripts from the secret meetings, or the people that have the authority can. Well, since the first Trump administration, they've been figuring ways to go around government archiving. That's the only reason this app was used. These are all criminals. These are all liars. These are all traitors. They don't want you to hear anything they're saying. And they're fucking livid right now that you heard it. The whole game was given away with their intentions for Europe, Egypt, fucking everything. And this reporter knows it all. And he was kind enough not to print it, and he could print it right now. You know why? I'll save it for a surprise. Oh, wait a minute. She already said it. Tulsi said no classified material. The second she said there was no classified material, she's the head of intelligence for this country. Dude should have printed it 5 minutes later. Every name, every detail. Not classified, right? According to the head of national intelligence. Tulsi the traitor Gabbard. Cool to print, right? Must be. Senior advisor to the president, Stephen Miller. CIA director, John Ratcliffe. White House chief of staff, Susie Wiles. And again, the point I was really trying to make, I'm sorry, I digress again. These are the highest of the high, and they're so fucking stupid and incompetent and in a rush to do evil that they accidentally invited a reporter into the chat. That should horrify you. Be ye rube or non-rube. Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent. Special Envoy, Steve Witkoff. I mean, every department, the heads of them. Nazi-ass Stephen Miller as well, my God. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, that's the one that was in Russia, in Moscow, waiting for Vlad when the chat started. Nominee for Director of Counterterrorism, Joe Kent. That's a nominee. That's not even a person that has the position yet. That should horrify you as well. Counselor of the Department of State, Mike Needham. National Security Advisor to VP, Andy Baker. Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, Dan Katz. Wow, you even had the Deputy Secretary of the Treasury and the Secretary. Wow, everybody wanted to get in on this action. Advisor to Defense Secretary, Dan Caldwell. Chief of Staff to National Security Advisor, Brian McCormack. Journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg. What a perfect cherry on top of the downfall of our empire this is. The downfall of the world. 2 months in, and Donnie looks so deflated today, didn't he? Because in Donnie's mind, that first 2 months was perfect. He even said it. You know what Donnie means by perfect? He wasn't an inch away from going to prison. That's a perfect 2 months for Donnie. And you guys ruined his perfect masterpiece in his mind. And now he's worried about people going to prison and who they're going to fire. And Petey and Witkoff and all you fucking idiots. You're really fucking Donnie's Reich up here. He's trying to get a Reich going. What the fuck are you people doing? Under discussed point, why they were on Signal, the app, the non-sanctioned app, not government-secured phones, where we don't have to worry about spies getting in there and all that. No, they were all using their personal phones. And we're going to prove that as we go. But why they were using the app, let's read this person's perspective here. The part that people are missing is that they're doing official communications on Signal to avoid those communications being retained or recorded, of course. There are Project 2025 training videos that specifically recommend this type of thing as a way to avoid subpoenas. Well, if there's no record of it, they can tell any lie, right? Luckily for us, they're so eager to do that evil for they massa that they invited a reporter into the chat. Our government is using third-party software to discuss OPSEC, no foreign and top secret levels of communication in avenues that do not retain data. They can stage a total takeover of the U.S. and there will be no evidence through any official channels. Yes, we've seen this over the years with Donnie in his first term, in his second term, especially now. Everything's about, oh, don't worry, we're going to get a private agency to vet all these traitors and sycophants we're hiring. We don't want the FBI to look into their backgrounds. I mean, hey, they're only top government positions, right? You go through more fucking scrutiny, son, when you're applying for a job at Home Depot than these people face scrutiny. Every single one of them. Did they take a drug test? Did they have to put 3 references? No, they didn't have to do jack shit. Except be a fucking sycophant. Their backgrounds weren't checked. They went through a third party private. We don't want the government to do anything. Have you noticed that about Donnie over the years? Even though he was the government. Isn't that funny? Never wanted anything recorded. Because look what it did to him last time. We got calls with Zelensky and all kinds of stuff. Because Donnie thought he was Caesar back then, but he wasn't quite Caesar yet. He's almost Caesar now. He's getting there. Hey, we got daily proclamations, executive orders, like 97 a day. Probably written by AI. So the goal is, the entire reason they were using a third-party app and not government-sanctioned secure communication devices was so you and I would never know what they're doing. That's why. That right there, even, is why we've lost our country, is the problem. That they even have that intent, let alone what they're discussing. Well, their evil intent costs them the game for now. And now we know what the plan is, even though I already told you the plan ahead of time. Control of shipping, I told you that. The second the Houthis were bombed, I told you it had nothing to do with Houthis or terrorists. It had to do with control of a major shipping lane that they could hold over people's heads as leverage and say, I mean, it's in the fucking messages I read you last night. Oh, now we can say to Egypt, fuck you, pay me. Now we can say to Europe, fuck you, pay me. What, are you going to go to war with the United States over control of the Suez and Gulf of Aden and that whole strip of water that leads up to Israel and Egypt? No, they're not going to war over it against the United States. So we've bombed the entrances to the Gulf of Aden, both sides of it, Somalia and Yemen. And they gave the game away because they invited the reporter into the chat. And we found out that they plan to extort Europe and Egypt via control of that waterway. So I assume the same plan goes for Panama at some point. Not I assume, I know. They want it. Donnie thinks he's Caesar again. Everyone who does business, anyone who wants to use the canals, whatever in this world, they have to pay him. That's how Donnie thinks. He also thinks he's God. I'm not joking. And you're going to see that more and more. Who else would put out commercials with 40-foot golden statues of themselves on the Holy Land? Son. But the Antichrist, and but someone who thinks they are God. Who else would dare do it? No one in history that I can think of. In modern history, anyway. I think there was a statue of Jupiter put in the temple back in the day. But you're talking, thousands of years ago. Talk about modern history. Who would dare promote the idea of golden statues of themselves all over the Holy Land, son? Is that logical to you? No, it's not logical. It's something else called supernatural. I know it doesn't make sense. I know you think I'm a crazy person. Doesn't matter. All irrelevant. Still happening to you and me. Whether we like it or not, whether we love it or not, whether we have other priorities, no matter what our political leanings or beliefs are, our religious leanings are, all fucking irrelevant. Our agendas, it's all still coming to our doorsteps, whether we like it or not. White House says Russia and Ukraine agree to stop fighting in Black Sea. I take no agreement made at this point seriously. Vlad will break it in 5 minutes, and Vlad's already broken this one, so let's move on. Bennett, this is again questioning of Ratcliffe. Did you know that the president's Middle East advisor was in Moscow on this thread while you were, as director of the CIA, participating in this thread? Were you aware of that? His answer, which should horrify you all: I'm not aware of that. The head of the CIA does not know, or at least that's the lie he telling, that Mr. Witkoff was in Moscow waiting for Vlad while the conversation was going on that he took part in. The head of the CIA. Was he too busy drawing up plans for who they're going to round up and ship to some death camp in some foreign country? Is that what the fucking head of the CIA is spending his time on, perhaps? Instead of being aware that one of his top people are in Moscow during war planning. He's going to dare sit in front of a panel and Congress and you and I, as we watch it on television, and say, I'm not aware of that. Every motherfucking one of them knew where Witkoff was. I guarantee it. But that's the lie he's running with, so that means he's incompetent as fuck on top of it. Horrifying. Head of the CIA. This isn't your local grocery person at the register or something. This is the person in charge of protecting every one of us at the highest level against Russian spies, Chinese spies, Indian spies, North Korean spies. That's what this motherfucker's supposed to be doing. Bennett said it's an embarrassment. Fuck yeah, it is. It's a shame. It's an embarrassment. It's disgusting. It makes us look like feckless fucking morons. And if I was a foreign intelligence running some agency in any country, I would never share intelligence with the U.S. again in my life. I'd make that rule number one for my agency. Never share any intelligence with any American. No one. If you do, you are going to prison. That's what I would tell my people. Never again would I trust this country or these people. What a fucking disaster. The head of the CIA does not know Mr. Witkoff is in Moscow waiting for Vlad while they're discussing the future of the war, this country, their extortion plans, everything. Holy fuck, man. And if he's lying about it, it's even worse than him not knowing. This is Senator Ossoff from Georgia, who's a very smart and competent and capable individual. Disagreements between the president and VP about U.S. plans and intentions would be of obvious interest to foreign intelligence services, would it not? That's to Ratcliffe. Yes, he says. Then Ossoff says, and they were discussing the timing of sending U.S. air crews into enemy airspace where they faced an air defense threat. Indeed. Indeed. Here's Kelly questioning Gabbard. The deliberation as to whether we should launch a strike on another country, would you consider that classified information? Gabbard, the information was not classified. That, in her cult speak, her cult kind of just drone. The information was not classified. Cult leader. She's used to, being in a cult. That's why she's like that. And that's before the MAGA cult. Whole nother cult. Then Ratcliffe says pre-decisional strike deliberations should be conducted through classified channels. Yeah. Yeah. Senator Ossoff again. Director Ratcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct? Ratcliffe. No. Okay, so it wasn't a mistake, Mr. Ratcliffe. So you intended to invite the reporter in. That's the story we're going with now. Oh, you rubes is so gullible. If only I would have been had the same constitution as men like Alex Jones or used car salesmen or whatever, I could have gotten so rich off you fucking idiots. Oh my God. Unfortunately for me, I have a soul and a conscience and some decency, and I can't do it to you people. You think I didn't see that Pizzagate grift just sitting there 10 years ago? I could have hopped on that and fleeced you fucking rubes for millions. And you would have gave it. And you would have clapped and cheered like fucking seals. Good thing I'm not that guy, huh? You gave all your money to people like Tim Pool and Jones and Cernovich and people like that. So Ratcliffe says, no, it was not a mistake. So I can only assume, with the next logical conclusion is, okay, so you meant to let the journalist in on the conversation? Because you all seem real mad about it now. I guess it was a mistake, huh? What an answer. Only in MAGA dystopian revelation apocalypse world 2025 would we get cunts like him. No, it wasn't a mistake. Make America great again. Fuck you. Are we great, son? Are we great? With a bunch of fucking Russian assets. One Russian asset was literally in Russia while the chat was going on. He's probably showing Vlad the phone, like, probably just handed. I pictured in my mind Witkoff sitting in the room with Vlad, or one of his, what are they, GRU people? And just Witkoff probably has several phones because he's rich. And just handing the phone to the GRU or Vlad. And Vlad's just, kind of just scrolling, just looking at the whole thing, making sure he approves. And I just pictured Witkoff on another phone doing whatever shady business deal he's got going to, make his empire a little bigger. That's the mental picture I got. And I don't think it's that far off. Because he was literally sitting there waiting for Vlad Putin when he got invited into the chat. Isn't that convenient? I think it is. This is Senator Kelly. Of what's been disclosed publicly of the signal chain, would you approve that for public release? Well, they said it's not classified, right? That's what Miss Double Colt Gabbard said. Gabbard, I don't feel I can answer that question. I have a cult meeting in an hour. I have to go. Gabbard is completely in over her head with this facade that's going on. She's totally unqualified. And it was written all fucking over her. But what she is qualified for, what she's most qualified for, is lying her fucking ass off in service of two cults and Vlad Putin, and taking that Russian money. Those are her real talents and only talents. Because she's so malleable. She's owned by two cults. and Vlad Putin. Oh my God. Is there anything even there that resembles a human being that can think for themselves? There doesn't seem to be. Because, man, I've heard of people joining one cult. I've never heard of someone joining two cults. Holy fuck. That's a damaged individual. So Gabbard can't even answer the question if the information is fit for public release, but earlier she said it wasn't classified. So what's the problem? Let Mr. Goldberg print it then. What we talking about? She already said it wasn't classified. She stated it unequivocally, directly. There was no classified material discussed. Cool. Let's print it then. Start the presses, baby. What are you waiting for, Mr. Goldberg? She gave you the go-ahead. They decided to run with this lie. So let's run with it. I think it's a great idea. Here's Reed questioning Gabbard. Were you overseas during any part of these discussions? Gabbard, yes, I was. Reed, were you using your private phone or public phone for signal? Gabbard, I won't speak to this because it's under review. That means she was using her private phone. They were all using their private phones. That was the point. Not to use government secure communication devices where there would be a record of the communications. So every single person was using their personal phone. So she lied about that. I won't speak to that. She admits she was overseas, though. Reed, what is under review? It's a very simple question, right? Were you using your own phone? I mean, we got all the info about Hillary's emails and servers, right? That was the biggest scandal for like 20 fucking years, right? What's the problem? Why can't she just say if she was on her personal phone or not? Oh, but that would mean she's utterly unqualified and she was breaking the law and the protocols of the agency she's the fucking head of. That's why she can't say it. She could go to prison, actually. All of them for intentionally discussing classified material using their own phones and a private app. That's not government fucking sanctioned. Intentionally to avoid archiving. That's a prison sentence for a lot of fucking people. Except for these traitors at the top in the Reich. Oh yeah, who wants to have a conversation about Hillary's emails, huh guys? But you don't want to talk about this, right? This is a million fucking times worse. I've seen Hillary's emails. Nothing in comparison to this fuck up. Nothing in comparison to this intentional effort to go around archiving. That's what's going on here. That's not what was going on in Hillary's day with her server. Not at all. There's plenty of archived discussions that Hillary Clinton had as Secretary of Defense, whatever she was. I guarantee that. Not with these people, though. They're going to do anything they can do not to maintain not to have a record kept of what they're doing behind closed doors. And I'm fine with government workers making whatever plans they want to make. I want them to do it in the proper classified manner, using the proper classified communication devices or secure communication devices, so there's a record. If I never hear that record in my entire life, I am perfectly fine with that as long as there's a record kept. So when the scandal breaks, people can go back who have the authority and look at it and see who the criminals are. That's why I want a record kept. These people are intentionally going out of their way to make sure there's not a record kept, and in the process, inviting reporters to listen to the whole thing. So she can't even admit if they were using their personal phones. Well, again, we're going to get to the proof that they were all using their personal phones. This is Adam Kinzinger commenting. I saw the work by Olga New York, and her findings were disturbing. Stephen Witkoff was in Russia when he was added to the Signal chat. Russia has infiltrated Signal and used against Ukrainians. Very possible they have the classified Signal info. Possible? Of course they fucking do. If a reporter got it, I guarantee Vlad got it. Hey, he had Witkoff sitting right in his office at the fucking time. Vlad got it. And those 3,000 docs that Donnie stole, Vlad got those too. And now that Donnie's back in, he's got a bunch more shit too. He's got it all. In fact, he owns the presidency and the co-chancellor as well. Musk owns that cunt too. Everything. It's all gone. Your country is over. Sorry, you chose this. I did not. Trump supporter Rick Fuse was arrested in Berkeley for using a stun gun on peaceful protesters outside a Tesla dealership. Fuse claimed they were paid protesters, and he went there to show his support for Musk and Doge by attacking people. The next Kyle Rittenhouse, hero in Magaland, the murderer. And I don't care what the people's background were that he murdered. Don't give a fuck. Still a murderer. So that's the next Kyle Rittenhouse right there. What's his name? Rick Fuse. Great name for someone who tases people, right? Fucking sociopaths. Here's the Sky News. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me go to the beginning. This is Fred Wellman again, who did some great work today. Some breaking news in my latest post. Others pointed out that Witkoff appeared to be in Moscow when he joined the Houthi PC group chat. Sky News has a detailed story on his timeline in Moscow. I ran that against the timeline from the Atlantic article. Witkoff was waiting for Putin when he was added. Witkoff was waiting for Putin when he was added. There is a 7-hour time difference between DC and Moscow. He was invited at 11:44 a.m. on Thursday, DC time. That was 6:44 p.m. in Moscow. He saw Putin at 8 p.m. According to Sky News and Russians, he left Moscow at 2 a.m. He may have actually been sitting in the Kremlin even. Here is a Sky News story including a photo of Witkoff leaving the U.S. Embassy to head to the airport. There's the photo. I didn't turn the brightness up on this thing. This is what bothered me the most. This sentence right here. He was invited at 11:44 a.m. Thursday, D.C. time. That was 6:44 p.m. in Moscow. He saw Putin at 8 p.m. That's an hour and 15 minutes later. He had just been invited into the chat. Sounds like the heart of the chat might not even have got going until around 8 p.m. Like I've said for so many years, anyone who's co-signed Donnie shitbags or these people by voting for it, you are now traitors by proxy. This is one of 1,000 pieces of evidence of why you are traitors by proxy. You put your name on Vlad's people. Your country is now over because of it. To the point that the special envoy, whatever the fuck this fucking traitor is, Witkoff, was literally sitting waiting for Vlad Putin while he was invited into a third-party app chat to avoid archiving that they accidentally invited a reporter into. Then he saw Putin an hour and 15 minutes after the chat began. Oof. That's why I've said for so many years, I know you don't like hearing it, you don't like acknowledging it, you probably never will. You are all traitors by proxy until you turn away from this. As you continue to put your name on it, you are the same traitor that they are. Why? Because you enable it. You make it happen. You are the hand of Satan that endorses these people and gives them the mandate to do what they're doing. In other words, you're doing it too, by proxy. I know you'll never acknowledge that. Every single person that's still all about this, you'll never get that concept. Doesn't matter whether you get it or not. It's still true. Sorry. So yes, this jerk off was waiting at 6:44 p.m. and gets invited into the chat. Then he sees Putin at 8. This ain't a chat that's going to take 5 minutes either. This chat will take hours, I'm sure. And right when they probably got into the heart of it, that's probably right when he got to Vlad and his people. This is utterly damning and proves every person that's been saying since 2015 that Russia's all over this proves every one of them right. In spades. Inarguable. Not debatable. The guy saw Vlad an hour and 15 minutes later. Holy fuck, man. Oh, this is an old video of Pete Hegseth from 2020. And it looks like this. And he's talking about that he doesn't drink beer anymore. And he said, you're getting old or something when beer doesn't do it for you anymore, digestively or something like that. And he's like, I'm not even a beer guy anymore. I'm a gin guy. Gin is my poison of choice. That's what he said. Now, I thought Hegseth was a Scotch man. He's a gin man. And when I heard gin, I've heard the rumor, probably the same rumor that you've all heard, that gin doesn't have a smell, therefore alcoholics really like gin. They can guzzle some gin right before work and go in and no one smells it. Well, I looked it up online because I've never drank gin. I've never smelled gin. I have no idea anything about fucking gin. I just know it's an alcohol that I've heard of. And I heard this rumor again, that it has no smell. Therefore, alcoholics love it. We used to talk about one of my assistant managers in one of my positions that we knew was an alcoholic, and they all said she drank gin, so because it doesn't smell. She eventually lost her job for being an alcoholic, but whatever. That was long after I was gone. So the fascinating thing for me is that Hegseth is a gin man, and I did look it up online, and I've discovered that gin does actually have a smell, and that's a myth that gin doesn't have a smell. But hey, at least Hegseth is admitting it. He's saying beer is so passé, man. Go right to the hard liquor. Go right to the gin. That's where I'm at, man. That's what he's saying in this video. I watched it. He's like, beer just don't do it for it. Yeah, because you're an alcoholic, son. You should be able to enjoy a couple beers and get a little buzz and be okay. No, Hegseth, pour me a glass of gin, man. Damn, we're just gonna go right to the hard liquor, huh? Yeah, he's a drunk. He's a drunk. It's embarrassing. Jeffrey Goldberg, the hero of the hour. I love this fucking guy. I love how calm he is in these interviews too. He's so like nerdy and calm, and it's incredible. And he just bluntly says shit. It's beautiful to watch. Jeff Goldberg on Trump not knowing about the Signal group chat. I alerted the White House shortly after 9 in the morning. So Donnie was lying when he said he didn't know about it. at the press conference yesterday. Remember that? What happened? What? They were on some app or something? What happened? Donnie knew exactly what happened, and he was dreading that question because in Donnie's mind, again, the first 2 months were perfection. But we'll get to that. So this man, again, he bluntly stated when the reporter said, well, Donnie said he didn't know about it. I alerted the White House shortly after 9 in the morning. Just blunt, straight up, he's a fucking liar. I called the White House at 9 in the morning, way before the press conference. He went on and elaborated on that, of who he spoke to and how many people knew about it. Believe me, Donnie knew that the second he woke up from the Adderall, or the hangover from the Adderall. Second he snorted a line and got out of bed. He heard about it, trust me. I wonder who had the honor of telling Caesar about what happened. They probably started off with, yeah, you're probably going to have to get rid of Hegseth. Let's make the unqualified drunk the sacrificial lamb for this clusterfuck. That's probably the first thing they said. Yeah, Hegseth's going to have to go, Donnie. Anyway, this is Senator Angus King. So the attack sequencing and timing and weapons targets you don't consider to have been classified. Gabbard, of course, I defer to the Secretary of Defense and the National Security Council in her cult voice. Her cult droning monotone voice. And then King says, you're the head of the intelligence community. What do you mean you defer, cracker? You can't, there's no one to defer to, son. You're it. You got the job, even though you're just so over your head and unqualified, and you're an abject fucking traitor. We know all this. We know you have no business there, but you're there, so you can't defer to another motherfucker. It's so embarrassing. It was cringe as fuck watching Tulsi the traitor up there try and be professional and give intelligent answers. When what she really looked like was a scared little girl that got caught with her hand in a cookie jar. So she's just going to lie her ass off now. And it was obvious, it's written all over her. And it was also written all over that she's just so out of her depth. Way over her head. She has no idea what she's doing. Why? Because the first cult's thinking for her, the second cult's thinking for her, and Vlad Putin is thinking for her. She's not doing any thinking. She's just a mindless automaton, vessel for Satan and those three other entities I just mentioned. Very sad to watch. So, Miss Gabbard, head of the intelligence community, defers to the Secretary of Defense and the National Security Council. Here's some information on the Signal app itself. Signal cannot be downloaded on government phones with SIPRnet and JWICS secure networks. These idiots were using their own unsecured phones, which are hackable with keystrokes monitored by foreign intel services. Yeah, one of them's sitting right, waiting for Vlad in Moscow. And Vlad got every inch of Russia under surveillance, especially the city areas where his people are, where diplomats are going to be, like traitor-ass, jerk-off-ass Witkoff. So this was one of the first indicators I got that, because I'm no expert on all this Signal app bullshit. that you can't even download the app. You can't use the app on a secure government phone. They won't let you. It doesn't allow it. Because the app's not secure. It's not government sanctioned. That's why. When you're talking classified information. If you're talking unclassified, who cares? Not important. When you're talking classified, very important. Utterly dangerous, obviously, because they invited a reporter into the chat. On a government secure phone, you can't just invite a reporter in. That's not how it works. That's a secure network that the government runs. It's not an app made by a third party that anyone could be fucking hacking, listening to, whatever. So the funny thing is, if they just would have done this the right way, even though it would have got recorded, no one would have known about it. We would have never known. But they didn't. Again, they're so eager to do that evil, and to the point, they used something that could get them all revealed, which is exactly what happened. Incredible. So just from this alone, it's kind of proven that they were all using their personal phones. But there's more after this. This is just kind of the opener. Their personal phones are all hackable, and it's highly likely that foreign intelligence services are sitting on their phones watching them type the shit out. The former White House official warned. Jacob Williams, a former hacker at the NSA and vice president of research and development at cybersecurity consulting firm Hunter Strategy, said Signal is not accredited for classified data. One of the biggest risks of using Signal, according to Williams, is where the data can be stored. People can link Signal messaging to a desktop application, he said. This means that Signal data is being delivered to potentially multiple desktop and laptop computers where it isn't being stored in a phone's secure enclave. That data is then at risk from commodity malware on the system. Yeah, it's just not secure. It's not supposed to be used for classified. Obviously, by what happened, they invited a reporter in, and he saw the whole fucking thing. All along, members of the Signal group were aware of the need for secrecy and operation security. In his text detailing aspects of the forthcoming attack on Houthi targets, Hegseth wrote to the group, which at the time included me, "We are currently clean on OPSEC." While the reporter was on the line. Well, that's great, Pete. I'm glad we got you on the job. I'm so glad I can just relax and sit back and I don't have to worry about OPSEC. Oh shit, there was a reporter on the line? Oh, fuck. I guess I do have to worry, huh, Pete? Oh my God. I bet the reporter almost had a fucking heart attack. Well, he's the editor-in-chief, but I bet he almost, because he's a newspaper man, old school newspaper man. He must have had a heart attack because this is like the biggest fucking scoop. And he's the main character in it. His whole life has led to this moment. A newspaper man gets accidentally invited into a classified chat by the Fourth fucking Reich. That is gold upon diamonds, upon platinum, upon gold to a newspaper man. Oh my God. He must have damn near stroked out, had a heart attack. Like, I can't believe this is happening. And I'm the main fucking character in the story. I'm the guy that blows the lid off it all. And I just happen to be a newspaper man. Wow, this is amazing. Scoop of his fucking life. And he wasn't even a journalist at the time. He was an editor. Talk about just something from heaven just dropping in your lap. You didn't have to do shit to make it happen. Incredible. It must have been the most exciting, crazy fucking thing for him. Those three issues alone are cause for resignations and massive investigations about the use of that app and how much intelligence has been compromised by these incompetent fools. I dove into these three aspects for my latest post. I already read that, didn't I? Oh, that's for the thing I just read you. They are lying again, Fred Wellman. The entire conversation was classified by its very nature of the principles involved. It was an illegal use of a disappearing messaging app, which none of them objected to. Hegseth appears to have copied and pasted the targeting packages into the chat. And Witkoff was literally in Moscow when he joined the chat. This is 1,000 times worse than they want you to know. In fucking deed, it's 1,000 times worse. As the day was going on and I was seeing more and more, I was like, oh my God, this is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Well, it's Donnie Shitbags. It's the Fourth Reich. It's the apocalypse. What do you expect? Now let me read his second part again. Those three issues alone are cause for resignations, massive investigations about the use of that app, how much intelligence has been compromised by these incompetent fools. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. And here's a guy, Tim Miller, who has a podcast. I don't know much about him. He's got Jeff Goldberg, man of the fucking hour, hero of the day. So Tim says there was a covert CIA operative named in the thread, right? And this is how I learned this piece of information, by this post right here. Jeff Goldberg, yes, and I withheld her name. I didn't put it in the story because she's undercover, but I mean, the CIA director put it into the chat. I was like, what? An active CIA undercover agent's name was put in the fucking chat that the reporter listened in on? Really? Oh my God, it just gets worse and worse. Holy fuck. And now that person's life is in danger. Because again, a jagoff named Witkoff was sitting in fucking Moscow waiting for Vlad while all this information was going back and forth. And he got to see it all. So who's to say Vlad didn't see all this, including the CIA operative's name? And again, you got to commend this guy for not just printing it all. He did the responsible thing. He contacted the government. He let them know. He said, he went on camera and he said, I'm not printing all this classified stuff. Then when it gets in front of Congress, oh, well, none of it was classified. Well, cool. We can print it all then. That's great. Thanks, Tulsi. Thank you for that permission. You're the head of intelligence, right? You decide what's classified. The president does as well, but let's be honest, the director of national intelligence would certainly be one of the people deciding what's classified and what's not classified. In between cult meetings. Must be a busy schedule. He's got to hang out with the first cult, hang out with the second cult, then maybe we take a call from Vlad, maybe pick up her check, who the fuck knows. Jasmine Crockett calls Texas Governor Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels. Abbott is paralyzed below the waist and has used a wheelchair for over 40 years. Now, I want to clarify, of course, you've got Elon under this post with the double exclamation points like, oh my God, Jasmine, how could you say such a thing? Remember who Elon Musk is. He's the Nazi salute guy. He's the guy who goes around the internet calling people retards in 2025. He's the guy who started an account on his own website that he bought with Saudi and Russian and Puff Daddy money called I Find Retards that he endorses. And his mother endorses it too. This is the guy commenting on what Jasmine Crockett said, and that's just the short list of what Leon is. Jasmine explained later, after this whole thing broke, the squirrel, to make us all look at Jasmine Crockett and not the utter incompetent traitors of the Fourth Reich that just gave out classified info as if it were Tic Tacs. So let's look at the Jasmine squirrel instead of the downfall of our nation, instead of the utter just embarrassment and security breach of the top people in government due to their incompetence, treachery, and willingness to do evil. To the point they don't even know who's involved in the chat. Hell, I could have been on the chat for all they fucking knew or cared. Jasmine explained later that the reason she called him Governor Hot Wheels is because Abbott was busing migrants further into the country. Remember that? Remember those PR stunts that your tax money all paid for, idiots? As you, on one hand, complained about brown-skinned immigrants all over our country, that you don't like them and you want them gone, then you're cheering on the very coyotes, American coyotes, who are shipping them further into the country. Do you understand, again, the dichotomy of your existence? The contradiction that is you. I'll give you a hypothetical here. Let's say I'm a racist fuck like you. And I don't like Mexicans or brown-skinned immigrants. Illegal, legal, asylum seekers, whatever they may be. I just don't like them. I'm a racist. That's what I'm going to pretend for a minute. I don't want them in the country. And I tell people that on camera, not on camera, in conversations. I don't like them. I want them out of our country. Then I'm going like this, clapping like a seal. When Abbott and DeSantis are busting them further into the country as if they're coyotes. You people believe in nothing. You stand for nothing. You are this. That's you. As governors become coyotes. Idiots. That's why you won't have a country. Do I approve of Miss Crockett's use of calling Governor Abbott Governor Hot Wheels? No. Even though I fucking despise Greg Abbott. Disgusting entity. Evil as fuck. No, I don't approve of her statement. But she said that's why she said it, because of him busing migrants further into the country. I don't know if I believe her when she says that. I'd like to give her the benefit of the doubt. It's a very poor choice of words if she really meant that she was calling him that because of the busing thing. Even if I were to comment on Greg Abbott and the busing thing, I wouldn't have used that phrase, Governor Hot Wheels. And I'm not sure I believe Jasmine with that explanation, but that she's very sincerely and kind of passionately put that explanation forth. But my real point is, again, the guy that's outraged, and all of you in MAGA world, if you want to feign outrage about this, then I guess you got to be mad about Donnie making fun of the disabled reporter back in the day. You got to be mad about Leon calling people retards left and right. And starting accounts based on calling people retards. And having his mother endorse it. And the Nazi salute, you should be real mad about that if you're mad about Jasmine's comment. Unless you're just an abject hypocrite that doesn't really believe in anything. I don't approve of her comment. Trump suggests Jeffrey Goldberg hacked a signal group or something. Yes, the story morphed throughout the day. They started blaming staffers. They started blaming Goldberg himself. Could he have hacked his way in? Could he snuck in somehow? The story morphed and changed throughout the day. When a story morphs and changes like that, when it's told over and over again, that's the mark of a liar. The simplest, most obvious mark of a liar. The person that was on just happens to be a sleazebag. The reporter's a sleazebag because you invited him into the chat. So maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know. He's basically bad for the country. Someone kind of intimated, I guess, that he may have snuck in or hacked in. That's what Donnie's, commenting on. That's why he's saying, well, he is a sleazebag, so, maybe that's just a coincidence. Or maybe he really did something to get into the chat. That's what Donnie's saying. Blaming the reporter because Hegseth's an incompetent moron. And so is everyone else on the fucking chat. Except for the reporter. The only one that was competent, responsible, and intelligent and not part of the Reich was the reporter. The one that wasn't even supposed to be there. Isn't that incredible? The only one you can remotely trust in that entire conversation, out of that entire list of names, is Jeff Goldberg. Isn't that amazing? And you can trust him with national secrets, which is more than you can trust Donnie shitbags with. Or Leon or Doge. Can you believe it? He didn't reveal anything classified. He contacted the government, let them know what happened. A lot more honest than any of those other names that were in the chat. 1,000 times more honest and responsible. These people are reporting directly to Vlad half the time. One of them was literally in Moscow, about to meet with Vlad. The only one looking out for our classified information, it appears, is a reporter named Jeff. Not any of the names on that list. In fact, Donnie stole 3,000 classified documents. Who do you think got those? You think they just sat in the shitter, not getting copied, not getting moved, not getting distributed? Yeah, okay. So yeah, let's talk shit on the reporter. Let's accuse him of hacking, blah, blah, fucking blah. The story morphs and morphs throughout the day till Donnie gets on the news shows at night and morphs the story again, which we'll get to. Here's a joke. It's like Watergate, only in this version, Nixon directly mails the tapes to Woodward and Bernstein. Indeed. Indeed. Another comment. It's quite obvious to the world that we have no national security. We have posturing, planes, and tanks. The nation's documents being stored in a shitter at a golf motel should have been our first clue. Yes, and the sad thing is, you people all saw Donnie store 3,000 classified documents in the shitter at a golf resort where spies were walking the fuck around. And you voted for it again. You have no love for your country. You don't love the Constitution or believe in any of it except the Second Amendment. You're not a patriot. In fact, you're a traitor. Because you put your name on a traitor who stole 3,000 classified documents and tried to overthrow the government. That's why you are. And again, the documents being in the shitter at the golf resort, to the point the FBI had to go seize them. I don't know how he got another vote after that, except for, Ivanka and the family. He shouldn't have gotten one. That's not a statement about him. That's a statement about you. According to a source I have at the CIA, Director Radcliffe lied today under oath. Signal is absolutely not loaded on agency computers. This is Fred Wellman again. As a matter of fact, it's specifically prohibited as an outside app. Skype is allowed for conference calls, but not Signal. He's using a personal device for official communications. And this is his source, this next thing I'm about to read to you. He literally puts his source's text message there. Of course, he doesn't name his source. I can tell you for a fact, having taken the records management training at the agency, that Signal is absolutely not loaded onto any agency computer. Why fucking would it be? It's not even allowed on our network because it's an outside app. Of course, there's a literal government network for classified conversations. You can't let some third-party outside agency run that. They don't want to use that network, though, because that would create an archive of what was said. So they use an app and risk our entire nation's fucking security and survival in their quest to do evil, in their quest for the Fourth Reich. To the point, again, they accidentally invite a fucking editor-in-chief for a newspaper into the chat. And again, one of them was sitting literally in Moscow when they got invited into the chat, literally waiting to meet Vlad or his people. Oh my God. All use their personal cell phones. That's what this is saying right here. Signal is not sanctioned for classified discussions. Government secure networks are sanctioned for classified discussions. But the Reich doesn't want a record of them trying to extort Egypt and Europe. Well, now there is a record. Praise Jesus. Oh, here's Elon chiming in because, let's talk shit on the Atlantic and the Reporter because Leon, Donnie, and everyone they hired and associate with are utterly incompetent traitors. Way too eager to do evil. Way too eager to work on the revenge list instead of their fucking jobs. Here's Leon. Best place to hide a dead body is page 2 of the Atlantic magazine because no one ever goes there. Wow. So Leon's going to pile on again. Leon's the Nazi salute guy. Leon's the guy that has to create 80, 90% bot followers to pad his numbers, even though he's the richest man in the world, just to make his ego feel good, because Leon has to have the most followers, right? And who cares if they're all fake? That's Leon's existence. And playing video games where he represents himself as a frog beast in a Caesar outfit. That's Leon's life. Nazi salutes, IVF, creating shitty, low-quality products on government dime. Takes more welfare than anyone in the history of mankind from the United States of America. Still taking more. And when the Reich, because of their incompetence and because of them only hiring sycophants that are utterly unqualified, when the Reich accidentally, in their quest to do evil, invites a reporter into their non-sanctioned app conversation, while one of them sitting in Moscow waiting for Vlad, let's blame the Atlantic, let's blame the reporter, just like Adolf Hitler would do. That's where we're going to go with this. The reporter's some kind of asshole because Hegseth's a moron, because Tulsi's a traitor, because Witkoff's a traitor, because Ratcliffe's a traitor. That's Big Jeff Goldberg's fault. He's a bad guy now. No, the bad guys are the Reich. And you're going to learn that over time when it comes to your doorstep. Because that's what fascism always does. Despite your misguided notions of what reality is in your MAGA bubble. Elon is so inept and stupid he doesn't realize even Fox News had to reluctantly talk about this issue. It's all over the world. Everyone knows about it. It's not a hide-a-body issue. It's literally viral. Right. Leon's a bit late to the party with his hide-a-dead body on page 2 of the Atlantic. Everyone already knows the cat's out of the bag. None of the lies are working. You all look like abject fucking liars, which is what you are. The cabinet, I mean. And Leon's not fooling nobody. Anyway, let's an update from Greenland. When the American consulate called yesterday to ask if the wife of the U.S. Vice President Usha Vance could visit our store on Friday, we replied that she was welcome. After all, everyone is welcome in our store. Well, they wouldn't be welcome in my store. In Greenland. However, upon further consideration, we have now informed the consulate that we do not wish to host her visit, as we cannot accept the underlying agenda and do not want to be part of the media spectacle that will inevitably follow. Yes, the audacity of America sending anyone related to the president or vice president after all the big tough annexation talk. Why did Greenland even let these planes land? I'd probably ban the United States from ever setting foot on Greenland. Of course, that'd probably result in military action, but whatever, that's going to happen anyway. So I'm surprised this store was even going to allow her to do her little whatever photo op bullshit. Because that's the only reason she's there. Because Donnie and Leon want to annex Greenland to, get the minerals and get their little Nazi technocracy map going. I mean, they proved what I said when they said they want Canada, when they said they want Greenland, when they said they want the Panama Canal. That's where the map ends, right underneath the Panama Canal, right at the tip of South America. Funny how they mentioned all the different pieces, except for Mexico, but I know they want that too. So now they don't want Usha. They've changed their mind because they know what the agenda is, annexation of Greenland. So Donnie and the boys can exploit its resources, especially Leon. That's why they want Canada too. That's why Vlad wants Ukraine. This is the Vlad Putin plan. It's the Adolf Hitler plan. Steal other countries' resources and wealth. Add it to the Reich. Try and control the world. That's what Adolf was doing. These two aren't any different. Neither are any of their sycophants. I mean, every cabinet member would have been the first one to lead the Jews into the gas chamber. Without hesitation. I don't see a spine amongst any of them. They'd probably walk their own grandma in there, actually. For money and power. What they have now. They sold their soul for it. Long fucking time ago. So this is from Tupolev Travel in Nuuk, Greenland, March 25th, 2025, Facebook. They are independently owned, all-year specialist tour operator and travel agency, as well as tourist office based in capital of Greenland, Nuuk. I'm just going to call it Nuuk, N-U-U-K. I don't know what the proper pronunciation is. So yeah, the wife of the couch fucker J.D. Vance, they got nerve showing their face there. And why anyone in Greenland would want to deal with them after annexation talk. I'm sorry, if another country started talking about annexing my country, I would cut off all business ties immediately. I would cut off any ties. And I'd be like, no one's allowed from your country into our country. Especially government officials from this point forward. We want nothing to do with you if you're talking invasion and annexation. Waltz, the world owes the president a favor. I mean, a thank you. Ooh, he said the no, the unholiest of holies. Remember, this is Waltz. This is Mike Waltz, not Tim, not the good one, the shitty one, the traitor. Mike Waltz. The world, he's on a news channel. The world owes the president a favor. I mean, a thank you. It was a Freudian slip. Because of all the things Donnie has done for the world. That's what he's trying to say. But the second you hear that, you hearken back to when he was on the phone with Zelensky. And he said, I need you to do me a favor, though. This man actually just, he made all that come back to the forefront by this fucking bumble. And again, this is why Mike and Petey Hegseth and all them, they need to shut the fuck up. I shouldn't even give them that advice. I'm sure Donnie and other people have, though. All of you need to shut the fuck up. Don't worry, I'm going to go on the news later and I'm going to tell my own individual customized lie about it. And we're going to get to it in a minute. So the Freudian slip, the world owes the president a favor. I mean, a thank you. That's the way it went. He didn't mean to say that. The president a favor. Oh, this is Donnie right here with it. He's on the news show, cleaning up the mess that his incompetent sycophants left for him. But he leaves plenty of messes for them every day, all day, so I don't feel sorry for him. What it was, we believe, is somebody that was on the line with permission, somebody that worked with Mike Waltz at a lower level, had Goldberg's number or a call through the app, and somehow this guy ended up on the call. So now we're blaming low-level staffers for the abject incompetence of the highest-level people in government. Gabbard, Waltz, Hegseth, all of them. We're gonna fire or we're gonna throw some lowly staffer under the bus for the mistakes of the kings. The incompetent, the treacherous, the traitors, the unqualified, the utter sycophants. We're going to give all them a pass as they lie their fucking faces off all day today and blame some staffer. That's Donnie's big idea. What did I tell you? Everyone gets thrown under the bus eventually by Donnie. Everyone. He's already done it to Rubio the other day. You saw it. Regarding the ship people off to fucking El Salvador scandal. Threw little Marco right under the fucking bus. Said he didn't even sign the executive order. That's how far the lie went. When Donnie feels cornered, he'll just flat out deny reality that we all know is true. We can see your signature on the motherfucker, idiot. What do you mean you didn't sign it? Be it auto pen or not, you still signed it. Now you're denying you signed it and blaming Marco Rubio? Over and over again we see this. Now we've got an anonymous staffer that might get fired or maybe not. We'll never know. Unless they publicize it. Meanwhile, the head of the CIA, the head of the DNI, the head of everything, they all get a pass. When they did this, no staffer did this. That's a complete fabrication. And it's, I don't know, about the 40th lie that's been told about this situation to pass the buck. One thing in MAGA world, man, you people are incapable of admitting you fucked up. That just never happens in MAGA world. That's a real character flaw, by the way. Every human fucks up sometimes. Sometimes you just got to admit it. Can't do that in MAGA land. Donnie and his people, never. They're always right, never wrong. They never make mistakes. Trump says he's looking at setting up some sort of government compensation fund for the January 6th criminals that he pardoned. Yes, reparations for traitors fund. Are you down with that? People that tried to overthrow the government, to the point one woman had to be shot to stop her from crawling through a window to get to some congressman. I don't know. Every time we talk about reparations for slaves, everybody gets all fucking offended. And I get random bot jerk-offs and random other jerk-offs, coming to me. Why are you ashamed to be white? And why are we talking about slavery? When are you going to forgive yourself? Well, I never held slavery against myself because I wasn't even alive when it happened. But it's still something that happened in this country. And every time the thought of reparations or that subject comes up, we all just scoff at it and dismiss it and act like it's a horrible idea. Well, here's Donnie Shitbags, leader of the Fourth Reich, the Antichrist, talking about giving reparations to literal traitors that smeared shit on the Capitol walls, beat police, and tried to get to congressmen and women. Tried to hang Mike Pence if they would have got their hands on him. In fact, Mike was even scared to get in a limo when the Secret Service asked him to get in. Mike knew what was up. Mike knew he might not have made it to the end of the day if he got in that limo. And even after all that, Mike's still a good little sycophant. So yes, reparation fund for traitors. That's one of the ideas that's being floated. After thousands lost their job, after whatever struggles you have in your life, this is what Donnie's thinking about. The revenge list, revenge tour, getting back at people, maybe giving some of your tax money to traitors that tried to overthrow the government. That sounds like a great idea, right? But we can't have no reparations for the descendants of slaves. That would be wrong. And I'm not even a big proponent of reparations. I'm just using that point as an example because I see the type of discussion that goes on when reparations is even mentioned. My God, it's the most offensive thing to you people. I bet you clapping for this, though. Give my money to them traitors that smeared shit on the Capitol and wanted to hang Mike Pence and wanted to kill Pelosi and Schiff and this person and that person. They're the good guys. Donnie's going to go further into it. Canada freezes Tesla's $43 million rebate payments, bars it from future rebates because of tariffs. Ottawa freezes Tesla's $43 million rebate payments. Chrystia Freeland has frozen $43 million in payments to Tesla pending a line-by-line investigation into its last-minute surge in EV rebate claims on the final weekend of the government program. So the government of Canada had a program where Tesla would get the rebate money, the rebates would go out on these cars for people that bought Teslas. Well, right before the rebate program was about to end, all of a sudden this crazy record number of Teslas that qualify for this rebate got sold magically. I mean, so many cars that if you had 50 humans working 24 hours a day, they couldn't sell that many cars. It's just impossible. So the Canadian government knows there's a scam going on. This was mentioned weeks ago. Well, now the Canadian government is taking action, and they said, you know what? We're just going to hold the money. We're not going to deliver the tax money to Tesla via the rebate program or whoever it's supposed to go to, the owners of these cars. We're not going to give them the rebate money. We're going to hold it because we think something fishy's going on here. The numbers don't look right. By the annex Nazi salute guy, because Leon wants to annex Canada too. And, Leon's all about investigating things line by line to find all the fraud, waste, and abuse. That's what Canada's doing here. They're employing Leon's own philosophy. They are seeing the wisdom in Leon's philosophies. And they're going to go through it line by line and make sure there's no funny business. And this just isn't an attempt by a car company to cash in on a bunch of tax money that they're not supposed to get. Under the facade that these are all individual owners that bought these cars, and they deserve the rebate money. In other words, the rebate scam didn't work. Canada caught on, and now they're going to hold the money. And there'll be no more future rebates for Tesla in Canada anymore. That's because of Leon. And again, they're employing his philosophies. They're applying Leon's own philosophies to him. Leon says there's going to be some hardship for all of us as he fires millions and loots and dismantles the country in service of Satan and his Nazi ideology. There's going to be some hardship. You might miss a Social Security check or two, or five, or never get one again. So there's going to be hardship for you as well, Leon. You're going to have to, do fake bombings of your fucking factories and shit to try and build sympathy and stuff like that. There's going to be some hardship. You're going to have to put out some money after you get $43 billion in contracts in the first month. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you effort. And a lot of people are going to withhold money from you the way you withheld money from people. There's still people from Twitter suing you for their severance packages. You fucking thief. So you're all about not paying bills, paying rent on Twitter buildings and stuff like that. Even though you're the richest man in the world, you brag about how much money you got. So there's going to be some hardship for you as well, Leon. They're going to have to withhold that $43 million. In other words, again, the rebate scam didn't work, son. I'm very sorry. I guess you shouldn't have been talking all that shit about annexation and Nazi salutes. Maybe they wouldn't have caught on. Maybe they would have let it slide and just gave you the tax money under the guise of you selling a record amount of cars in like 3 fucking days. But no, you had to, do the annexation talk. You had to fucking do your little tributes to Satan via your existence. Instead of just, riding the mystique out. You had to expose yourself and reveal yourself. So there's going to be some hardship, Leon. I'm sorry. And, people are going to call you a Nazi after you do a Nazi salute. Very, very sorry about that. And there's going to be memes made about you, representing you as a Nazi, since you did the literal Nazi salute. Very sincerely and passionately, by the way. So that means you really believe. Anyone who gets Nazi haircuts over and over again, that tells me what they believe. I know what the haircuts look like. I've known since I was a young man. Anyway, Donnie says, somebody said that God saved me in order to save this country. Yes, God saved Donnie from the bullet, because that's what he's talking about. The head wound thing again. The thing that his entire reign is based on. Donnie coin's based on it, everything. So he's talking about the head wound again. God miraculously saved him from being assassinated that day. And the wound healed so quickly, didn't it? Like that. It's a miracle. Yes, God saved Donnie to grift. God saved Donnie to charge you $2 million a weekend for the Secret Service entourage and his buddies and Leon to go to his own resorts, and then Donnie pockets the money. God saved Donnie to extort Ukraine, to extort Europe, to extort Egypt, to extort Panama, to extort anyone that wants to do business. God saved Donnie so Mr. Sundar and Mr. Zuckerberg and Mr. Apple and Mr. Gates and all the rest of them could pay tribute and lay millions of dollars at his feet. That's what God saved Donnie for. God saved Donnie to start the Fourth Reich. God saved Donnie to worship Satan. God saved Donnie to kill a lot of people. God saved Donnie to spout abominations for over 1,200 days in a row. God saved Donnie to clear out the Gazans so he could build a resort complete with golden statues of himself on the Holy Land. That's why God saved Donnie. God saved Donnie so he could lie, cheat, and steal every breath he fucking takes. And get people killed by incitement of violence, incompetent handlings of plagues, bombing people, starting death camps in El Salvador and other places. I think you get the point. Trump on the 2020 election, I won that election by so much. No, that's a literal inversion of reality. Again, that's all Donnie does day in, day out, grift and invert reality. That's it. In fact, the literal opposite is true, and I mean more than the literal opposite. Why? He lost the election, won. That's the literal opposite. But he took it even further. Then he tried to overthrow the government. Then he stole 3,000 classified documents and shared them with people. Donnie went further than the literal opposite of what he just said. Here we go with more inversion of reality. This is Donnie's existence. That's why he's the Antichrist. Nothing God hates more than literal inversion of reality, where the truth doesn't matter anymore, where the truth is just whatever the liar says it is. You know, like 1 + 1 = 3, or 2 + 2 = 5. That's Donnie. And that's you as long as you're with Donnie. I'm a big fan of Ashley Babbitt, and Ashley Babbitt was a really good person who was a big MAGA fan, Trump fan. Well, guess who got Ashley killed? That'd be Donnie. And she was innocently standing there. Innocently standing there, he says. They even say trying to sort of hold back the crowd. Wow, she was just there to help and hold back the crowd. And a man did something to her that was unthinkable when he shot her. No, the man did his literal job. That's literally why the men with guns are always standing around with the politicians. They're there to stop any threats. Guess what the threat was that day? A guy that was president of the United States, which is a sad commentary on every single person that voted for him and this entire country. Such an embarrassment, such a shame that resulted in one of the only coups that have ever taken place in this country besides a civil war. And then he stole 3,000 classified documents again. And what was Ashley really doing that day? She was serving her cult leader. She gave her life for what she worshiped. She didn't worship Jesus Christ. She didn't worship her family or children or husband or whatever she had going on. She worshiped Donnie shitbags. It's the only logical answer. And so many of you are doing that, worshiping him to the point you'd lay down your life for a con man, an orange face, and a diaper full of shit. Who has a gold toilet? What do you got? Ashley was part of a crowd that had breached the Capitol, gotten inside. God knows what they did before to get there. And they got to that final door. What do I mean by the final door? The final door where if you get through that door, now you're able to kill congressmen. That's why Ashley got capped. Because she was trying to break a window, and others were as well, and get through to the congressman. They let you cunts have your fun and beat police all day and withheld any help for those people, for those officers. That wasn't good enough for you. You wanted to get in the real game. You wanted to start trying to kill people. In government. Therefore, you got fucking capped. And that would happen to any one of us. No matter political affiliation. If we tried to go through that final door where on the other side are congressmen, yo ass getting shot. The whole facade just drops right there. The whole fantasy that Donnie's God and you're protected and you're involved in some righteous endeavor. No, you're trying to kill congressmen. Literally. I'm amazed more of you didn't get shot. I really am. That's when it got real for all of you, though. That's when you snapped out of your little bubble. When that gun fired. That's when it didn't seem so cool anymore. And to this day, we've got this scumbag traitor who tried to overthrow the government, who's literally a Russian asset since 1987, called Krasnov. Trying to lionize this person, make her a hero. No, she was a traitor to her country. And it's sad that she went down that road, even though she's a MAGA. You know, that's still sad that she lost her life for the cult. Not for America. For the cult. For this orange-faced, lying fucking maniac. That's why she's dead. What did her family get out of this? Anything? Well, Donnie got to watch it on TV while you rubes, the seals, the sheep, were beating police officers. Donnie was loving it. Stuffing his face, watching TV, had a little party as it was going on, as cops were getting beaten, scared shitless as they're facing thousands of men and women. Pissed off rube cultists, all ginned up by their lying orange-faced God. That's what she died for. And no, she wasn't a hero. She's a traitor to her country, unfortunately, who was trying to kill congressmen. And I'm sorry, I don't care what your political beliefs are, your cause is. If you trying to kill government workers live on TV, you getting shot, son. And that's the end. So we've got a traitor in charge of our government who's now lionizing and saying, let's use some of our tax money to give to traitors that got locked up for storming the Capitol. Now, me and you out here, we don't get any reward for not storming the Capitol. We just get to go on with our lives. These people smear shit on the walls, beat police, damn near kill congressmen. Luckily, someone ended that noise before it happened. And they get rewarded for it now. Our reward is the loss of our country, our future, and our children's future, and probably death for people like me that dare speak against this stuff, as these people, Leon, Donnie, and all the rest of them, spout abominations, blasphemies all day, every day. No problem. But when a guy gets on YouTube and contradicts the entire narrative you've heard for 40 fucking years, you lose your goddamn mind. It's fascinating to watch how programmed so many of you are. It's sad Ashley Babbitt had to die for this, for nothing, for the Antichrist. And I take no joy in her death. I'm not that kind of person. Even though she was a cult member who helped the downfall of my country, I still think it's sad that she let her life become this, that was her identity to the point that she followed the advice of a con man who was using her as his hands because he's too chicken shit, fat, old, diapered, and orange-faced and made up to dare ever lead the charge on anything. He'll always have the rubes do it. And boy, did the rubes do it. And we all saw that. What did you do in response after seeing that? After seeing police officers being beaten by the cult? You vote for it again. You can't ever say you're a patriot. You can't say you believe in anything. All you believe in is having your orange god with the right letter next to his name running your country. Damn the consequences. That's your existence. Look where it's gotten us. Having a mobster in charge. Having a liar, a fraud, sexual assaulter, defamer, abomination in charge. Does it seem like it's going well? Did it go well last time? We had a fucking plague that shut down the whole fucking world. Where do you think that came from? No, not a lab in China, son. Something much bigger than that. That's where it came from. So it's sad so many of you, like Ashley, were so eager to worship your orange god and your bias that you gave your country away, your future, your children's future, and Ashley gave away her life. So again, what's gone as a result of you people? The greatest empire that ever was. And by greatest, I mean strongest. Not most decent. Richest, strongest, most powerful. Over. Your future, over. Your country, over. Your children's future, over. The world's future, over. That's the magnitude of what you've done. This is not WWF, unfortunately. Even though you view the world and politics through that lens, to the point we've got, what's her name, Linda fucking McMahon in our government. Oh my God, what have you fucking people done? Until the next episode, have a wonderful day.